Hello to you all awesome and wonderful Mindsetters, grade 12 Mindsetters. It is that time where we get to learn more and learn extra right here on Learn Extra Live with me, AB, and Mr. Peter. How are you, sir?
Hey, I'm not good, Abraham.
What's wrong now?
No, man.
Are you in debt?
I landed up getting account after account after account. And in fact, today, we're going to be looking at different documents. And some of them are accounts.
Wow. I'm so looking forward to this because I know a lot of friends of mine who get frustrated when they see just a letter.
Just a letter.
Yeah. Any e-toll tickets there? Oh, we'll see.
Okay.
All
You
right.
see, the sad thing is nowadays, folk, very few people actually write letters, don't they? They always BBMing or SMSing. So when you do get an envelope
You
in
should
the
know.
post, you know you're probably going to have to pay a bill. And folk, that's what we're talking about today. All these weird and wonderful financial documents that one gets, including things like cash slips. But I'm getting ahead of myself.
Wow, talking about that, you're reminding me, tomorrow it is Valentine's Day. So I won't be asking you if you're sending someone a letter because we no longer send those letters. But however, we do have a campaign that we're running as Mindset, which is hashtag show your love. So all that we need from you, it is to send us a picture of you and something that you love, or with somebody that you love, or they mean something to you. So if we mean something to you as Mindset team, you just take a picture of us and you, and then you send that picture. Peter, if I may ask you, what means so much to you?
This is live, eh?
Yes,
My wife.
your wife.
Yeah.
Oh,
No, but even if it wasn't live, I'd still say that. I think my wife is probably one of the most important things in my life, and my little kid. Yeah, absolutely.
I like that. In general, I'll just say your family.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so what you need to do
Not my
after...
mother-in-law.
Oh,
Okay.
no,
Ooh,
let's
I
not
can't
get
say
there.
that on TV.
All right,
eh?
please.
No, I'm joking. If my mom-in-law's watching, mom-in-law, I do love you loads and loads and loads and loads and loads.
All right, Peter, what you need to do is to take a picture after the show and send us that picture, and we need to like that picture. Add a comment on why do they mean so much to you. That's
Sounds
simple,
like
right?
fun.
Right. Otherwise, get your notes on learn.mindset.co.za. Follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/LearnExtra. And lastly, follow us on Twitter @LearnExtra. Peter, over to you.
Okay, great. Folk, like we said, we're going to be looking at financial documents over here. Right. And in this lesson, we will work with financial documents such as household bills. For example, electricity, water, cell phone, etc. We'll look at shopping documents such as till slips, account statements. We'll be looking at banking statements, bank statements, and fee structures. Okay? We'll be looking at documents relating to the workplace and small finance, including pay slips, budgets, quotations, invoices, and receipts. Now, folk, I've got to interrupt myself here and say this. Although I say we're going to be looking at all this, understand that within an hour's program, we can't cover all this work. And so we've just selected a few things which we think are important to both grade 10, grade 11, as well as grade 12. And we're just looking at basic concepts. If I had a 2 or 3 hour program slot here, guys, then we could cover things in great detail. Okay, so we're just going to cover a few basics today, and that's just because of time. Sorry about that. Okay. Please remember, though, at any time, if I'm going through anything and you've got some questions, feel free to get hold of Ibrahim. He's going to tell you now how to do it. And you can ask him those questions. He'll relay that message back to me. And hey, who knows, we may just get some time to be able to answer those questions. Okay? And I'm just thinking here, maybe it'll be great fun for you to tell us as well what is so special in your life. But not so special if you've got a special someone. Maybe you want to let Ibrahim know how you met that special someone. Okay, just to throw it into our program and add a bit of variety.
I like that, and we should also give a shout out to those special people. How's that?
That sounds absolutely fantastic. Okay, folk, our challenge question, and it's on the website. Let's have a look at it. And I must just say this as well. This question was given to me by a colleague of mine, and so I must just acknowledge that. All right. Right, so here goes. Tabo wants to improve his factory showroom and considers the following quote. Marvelous makeover, okay, And there are a few things that are given in this quote. Okay. So in other words, what this is all about is Tauber's got a factory, and he looks at his factory one day and he says, hey, we got to improve the condition of this factory. Okay? We want to make this factory look absolutely stunning. We want to make it look fantastic. So what we're going to do is we're going to make some improvements. Now, folks, when you want to go out and make improvements or buy something, okay, especially if you're going to spend a lot of money, you want to get the best possible price. And so what Tauber does, he goes off and he approaches different companies, okay? And he says to them, look, this is what I want to do. I want to tile the floor. I want to do this. I want to do that. How much would you charge me? Now, folk, a company will put together a quotation. And that quotation is saying, if you use us, this is what we'll charge you. It's different to a statement. Now, a statement is something a company will give you once you've used their services. So if I'm thinking of using their services, they're going to give me a quotation saying, if you use our services, this is how much we're going to charge you. Statement says, you have used our services, this is how much you owe us, and this is how much you must pay us. Are we clear on that? So behind me here now is an actual quotation. And it's a quotation from a company called Marvelous Makeover. Okay, and you can see that right here, Marvelous Makeover. Now over here they actually give the address of the company called Marvelous Makeover. They also give an email address of that company, and then they start with the quotation. And they're telling you quite clearly who the quotation is for. They're saying this quotation is for Tauber, all right? And where is Tauber? He's at a company called Trendy Chairs. They give his address, and they tell you whereabouts, what area is in. They also give the date of the quotation. Now, folks, that is important because let's say I go off to a company and I say to them, I'm wanting to use your services. How much are you going to charge me? And they say, well, if you use our product and this and that and whatever the case may be, whatever product I'm wanting to buy, we give you a quotation for 1,000 Rand. Okay? 20 years later, when I'm old and grey. I'm not old now and I'm not grey now, am I?
No.
No, I'm still young. Okay.
Kind of.
Still. Okay. So 20 years later, I'm digging in my pocket, walking down the road, digging in my, and I find this quotation. And I go to that shop and say, I want all this stuff for 1,000 Rand. They're going to laugh at me and say, geez, we don't charge that anymore. It's now like 43,000 Rand. And I'm saying, but you gave me a quotation. Okay? So what companies do is when they give you a quotation, they put it on the address, and normally somewhere on that address they're going to tell you how long that quotation is valid for. So you can't go back to them in 20 years' time and say, hey, I want that product for this price, it's on paper, you've got to give it. It's a legal document. Okay? So let's have a look here, and let's see if they give any expiry. In fact, here they do. Here's the expiry date right here. So they're saying the date of this quotation is the 15th of the 9th, but it will expire on the 15th of the 10th. In other words, it's only going to last 1 month, right? And then they give you a description of what you actually buy. Now, I'm giving you fat hints here, and I'm not supposed to because this is a challenge question. So let me pull myself together and just read the question. Okay, so here are the questions. Today's date's the 3rd of November. Is the quotation still valid? Justify your answer. Oops, I think I gave you the answer already. Okay, next one. What is the size of Tauber's showroom? And the final question in our challenges today is this. How much VAT is charged on this quote? Okay, let's just summarize quickly everything we must remember in today's lesson. Okay, before even reading the questions, look at the resources or the document and get an idea as to what document you're looking at. Look over all the content and ask yourself questions and answer them to yourself before even looking at the test questions. Look for missing information. Look for critical information. Read the document carefully. Now, guys, you will notice that just now, before we even read the challenge question, we looked at that quotation, and I was already saying, oi, look at this, hey, look at this, look at that, this is what this is. And so I was getting a feel for that document before I'd even read the questions. And that's exactly what you've got to do for every test and for every single exam. Okay, so for example, earlier on I had an account in my hands, okay, and I seem to have thrown it down somewhere, but I had an account in my hands. Now, folk, normally when I get an envelope, it probably means I owe somebody some money, and this horrible feeling begins to dwell in my stomach. And on opening it now, the first thing I do is I look at the title, the heading, who's it from? And then normally I think, oh yeah, I owe them money. Okay? And then I start to glance over the whole document. So the one I looked at was from the city of Johannesburg. And that only means one thing. I owe them money. Okay? And it was a whole document on the rates, how much money that they wanted from me because I owe a property. And that document gives me a feel of, first of all, what are they charging me? Second of all, for what? Okay? What property are they actually, have they got the right property? Heaven forbid they're charging me rates on a property that costs 20 million or something, okay? When I've got a little dwelling that costs 400,000, okay? My rates are going to be totally different. But the thing I'm trying to get through to you is this, just get a feel for what I'm looking at. Not only in a test, but also in real life. And remember, maths, it's all about real life. And so that's why we do it. Okay, now, next thing. Once you have answered each test question, ask yourself if the question is answered correctly. And guys, I say this nearly every single week, and if you're going to watch this program every Thursday night, which I hope you are, at 6 o'clock, you're going to hear me repeat this over and over and over again. Always ask yourself, have I answered the question? So many times in matric, and I'm involved with matric marking, and so many times in matric, you will ask somebody something, let's say, who is taller? And these guys do the most amazing calculations, get an answer and just stop. And they don't answer the question. The question was, who is taller? And they don't give that final statement, and so lose a mark. And with the documents as well, always say, have I read the question correctly? Have I answered it correctly? And then move on to the next question. Okay, let's go ahead and look at here. So now we've got our very first question of the day. Now, I don't know if this is a good time to take an ad break before we begin these, or do you think I should just go ahead and do one?
Yes, it is fine.
Should we go ahead and do one?
Yeah, we should.
Okay, absolutely great. Okay, I can't hear my producer, you know, I don't think he's talking properly.
Yes,
so.
it's fine. Let's
All
take
right,
an ad break.
let's go for it. So, here's our first question we're going to look at today. Mrs. Pretorius went shopping at Queen's store and received the till slip shown below. Study the till slip.
You know what, Peter?
Yeah.
On that note, because I think it's quite a long question, let's take an ad break and then come back to it.
Okay, great. That sounds super. So we're going to take an ad break. While we're taking the ad break, guys, if there's anything I've said that you want to question, please ask Ibrahim.
Exactly.
And via that funny machine thing, and then he will talk to me face to face and ask me those questions.
Thank you so much. And already we've got some pictures for Show Your Love. We'll keep them coming, my sisters. We'll see you after the break. Welcome back, Mindsetters. Keep your questions coming at facebook.com/LearnExtra and tweet us at LearnExtra. Now, I have a picture that is posted on Facebook from our Mindsetter of the Month, Sharon Mulele. She posted a picture of herself and her niece. Hopefully, later on, we'll show the picture on your screen. But she says, I love my niece so much. Whenever he's around, I play with him. And I know for sure that he loves me, and I will do anything to protect him. His name is Mataba Khodiso. Thank you so much, Cheryl, for that. Isn't it so sweet?
Sounds great. I would love to see the picture, maybe just now.
Later on.
Absolutely. And have we got any stories how certain people met other people? Or
Those are coming.
Those are coming
later
still.
on.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Let's go. Maybe I'll share my story if we got time.
All right. Hopefully,
Yeah,
I'll
okay.
remind you. But for now,
It's a romantic story. All right, folks, let's get on with the lesson, shall we? We're busy looking at documents, and here's our question. Number 1. Mrs. Pretorius went shopping at Queen's stores. Now, as soon as you hear a Mrs. and shopping in the same sentence, you know we've got a problem, okay? Lots of money is going to be spent here. Right, so Mrs. Pretorius went shopping at Queen's store and received the till slips shown below. Study the till slip and answer the questions that follow. Okay, so here's our till slip. Now, do you remember just now before the ad break, I said to you, before you even look at the questions, that your examiner or teacher or whoever set your paper has said, look at the document, get a feel for it, and try and find out as much as you can. Okay, so let's do that. So we can see she's gone shopping at Queen's stores, and that happens to be in a place called Queenstown. And it so happens to be in a road called Queen Avenue. My goodness, there's lots of queens going on here. Okay, so what has she bought? She's gone ahead and bought some dog food, a chicken mushroom pie, only for R4.39. Guys, I wouldn't eat that pie, because pies are normally what now, 11, 12, 13 rand,
15 rand.
So if you're getting a pie for R4, it's either a tiny little thing or it's frot. Okay, so moving on. White toasted bread, R3.99. A cold drink, R4.50. She bought some salted chips, but we don't know how much that cost. Peanuts and raisins for R5.45. She got a plastic bag for 21 cents. It came to a subtotal of R45.62. And there's a little thing here saying, please keep the till slip as proof of purchase. Okay, let's look at the questions. We've got a nice feel for it. We know we're dealing with some sort of weird and wonderful little cash slip. Okay, we know it refers to a Mrs. Pretorius who went shopping, and we also know it's a freaking old till slip, because you're not going to buy a pie for R4.39, and you're not going to buy a Coke, what's that, for R4.50, and you're not going to buy peanuts and raisins for R5.45. You're going to pay a lot more for it nowadays. Okay, so let's look at the question. Number 1, on what date did Miss Pretorius shop at Queen's store? Okay, now, one thing I've got to say at this time, folks. This section is a wonderful section for paper 1, because paper 1 asks us a lot of level 1 questions, okay? In level 1 questions, we're just looking and we're finding answers. We don't have to do major calculations in our head. We don't have to think very much. All we've got to do is understand the document and be able to read certain values. And these are the type of questions you're going to get. Remember? Paper 1 type. So, on what date did Miss Pretorius shop at Queen's stores? Guys, it's straightforward. Here it is. She shopped on the 30th of the 4th, 2010. Our next question. Calculate the amount Miss Pretorius paid for the salted chips. Okay, let's have a look at it. Remember we said there was a problem. And the problem was that they didn't show us on the cash slip how much she paid for those salted chips. Now, guys, in reality, okay, that wouldn't really happen. There wouldn't be a figure missing with a question mark. But in reality, what could happen is you could have held your cash slip with a dirty, greasy hand, and in so doing, your greasy little finger smudged the amount. So you get home and you can't read how much you paid for these salted chips. But what you do know is you know how much you paid for all the other items as well as the total. So what are we going to do? The first thing we're going to do is say, well, I've got my total. I know the price of all my other stuff. It's quite easy to find this price, isn't it? What are we going to do? We're going to say R45.62 minus 21 cents minus R5.45 minus all those values, and we'll be left with an amount, and that'll be the price of my salted chips. So let's do that. Out comes a calculator. Do we have a calculator here? Yes, we do. Okay, so we said our total was R45.62 minus the 21 cents for the packet, minus the 5 Rand 45 for the peanuts and raisins, minus the 4 Rand 50 for the cool drink, minus the 3 Rand 99 for the white toasted bread, minus the 4 Rand 39 for the chicken mushroom pie, which we agreed with we were not going to eat because there's something wrong with that pie, minus dog food, which is 24 Rand 71. This person must really love their dog. Hey, they spend more money on the dog than what they did on their own food. In fact, the little chicken pie, they could only afford a little one, but the dog food is, yeah. Okay, so equals. We land up now with a value of 2 Rand 37. In other words, folks, the salted chips was 2 Rand 37. Are we clear on that? Next one. And this is not hard stuff, but we don't expect it to be hard because we're dealing with a lot of paper one type questions. Right, in the month of May, Miss Pretorius paid 24 Rand 50 for the dog food. Calculate the percentage increase in the price of the dog food. Round off your answer to 2 decimal places. And then they give me a formula. Now, folk, when we get given a formula in mathematical literacy, that means one thing and one thing only. Use the formula. Right, so percentage increase equals the difference in the price. Now, take note that in May, Mrs. Pretorius paid 24 Rand 50. But we know that in April, what did she pay? 24 Rand 71. So what is that percentage increase? Well, it's going to be what my value was, right? So in the difference in the price, so in May, she pays 24 Rand 50 cents. In April, she paid more, didn't she? She paid 24 Rand 71. So in other words, I know straight away there wasn't an increase. In fact, there's been a slight decrease. In April, 24 Rand 71. In May, she only pays 24 Rand 50. So it's not a percentage increase, but it's going to be a percentage decrease. So my percentage increase is going to show a negative value because it's not an increase at all. It's a decrease. Are we clear? Kind of complicated, hey? Maybe you understand that? Okay. So percentage increase, if I've got a minus, it means there was actually no increase. There was a decrease. Now, what was the original price of that food? It was 24 Rand and 50 cents. And then we're going to times that by 100. Now, let's have a look at this. Out comes my calculator. And I'm going to say, right, we've got 24 Rand and 50 cents minus 24 Rand and 71 cents over 24 Rand and 50 cents. Then we're going to multiply this by 100. And soon as I push equals, it's going to give me an answer. Now, folk, before I do that, I want to talk about this calculator. Right. The new CAPS document is set out so that any question which we ask you at the end of the year, so any question you get in matric, at the end of the year, and it should also account for any class test, it should also account for your test you write at the end of the year if you're in grade 10 or 11. You should be able to do them on a normal little calculator. What do I mean by a normal little calculator? I'm talking about a calculator that only normally has this part of it. Can you see underneath me? So it's only got the figures and a times and a plus and a minus and a divide and a equals. Right? But the CAPS document does not state that you may not have a scientific calculator like the one on the screen. And because it says you can't have it, It basically means if you want to use a scientific calculator, you can use it. Now, guys, let's just think about this very, very, very carefully. If I were to travel from Durban to Johannesburg, okay, and I had two options. One, I could walk, okay, so there's Durban, here's Joburg, off I go. And so I now walk to Durban. I've walked to Durban, you can't even see me on the screen. I'm now coming back, and I'm back in Joburg, all right? But I can walk, or I can get in a car. And I can sit back, relax, push a little bit of petrol, and boom, away I go. So I have two options, okay? Now, the car is a little more expensive than walking, but the benefits of going to Durban from Joburg by car far outweighs the benefits of walking to Durban, okay? Especially someone my age, according to AB, okay? Especially someone my age and of my fatigue, my wonderful slim fatigue, okay? It's not good for me to walk, but it's much better for me to drive. So when I go to Joburg, go to Durban, if I want to walk, I can walk. If I want to go by car, I can go by car. But how silly of me to walk when I've got a car. Guys, it's the same principle with the calculator. When I answer my questions in mathematical literacy, I can use a normal little calculator that just shows these buttons at the bottom. Or I can use a scientific calculator. Now, the price difference between a normal little calculator and a scientific calculator is not that great. And so what I say to my students is this. If you cannot afford a scientific calculator, then next Saturday, go to your neighbor, offer to mow his lawn, or offer to clean out his garden, offer to take the dogs for a walk, offer to wash his car, do something where you can bring in a little bit of money and go buy yourself a good scientific calculator, because the benefit of it is so great. So here in my scientific calculator on the screen, you can see that I've got all those figures written up in one shot. As I see it over here on my screen, I can do it on my calculator. If I don't have a scientific calculator, then, folk, what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to do the top part, say 24 Rand 50 minus 24 Rand 71 and get an answer. Then take that answer, divide it by 24 Rand 50, get another answer, and then take that answer and times it by 100. And in the process, the chances are I could be making some silly, careless mistakes. On this calculator, I've got it all there in one shot. Oops, no, it disappeared. Okay, there it is, all in one shot. I now just push equals, and guys, there's my answer. Hey? And my answer is minus 0.86%. So minus 0.86%. That's my profit increase. And we knew it wasn't an increase. That's why I got the negative sign. Sure, I really got on a sidetrack there, but I think what I had to say about the calculator is crucial. Right, next question. Oops, we've gone way crazy. Right, at the end of the month, Miss Pretorius returned to Queen's Stores and found that the price of peanuts and raisins had been reduced by 20%. Calculate the price that she would have paid for the peanuts and raisins at the end of the month. Now, notice with this question, okay, we're now just looking at documents. I mean, let's be honest, this particular question, we could ask you without a document. We could say, if the price of peanuts were 5 Rand 45 and they decreased by 20%, what's the new price? But this examiner very cleverly has taken our document. So it's forcing you to understand the document, to read it, and then to answer questions on it. So that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to say, right, the first thing we've got to do is we've got to know 20% of the price of what the peanuts were. And what were they? Let's just confirm that. Peanuts and raisins, 5 Rand 45. So 5 Rand 45. And once we found the 20%, we're going to subtract that from the original price of R5.45. And now with my phenomenal calculator, I'm going to do all that in one step. So I'm going to say 5.45 minus, and I'm trying to find 20% of, and of means times, R5.45. Close brackets equals, and there's my answer, R4.36. So the new price for peanuts, R4.36, which isn't very much, like paying for peanuts. Okay, now next one, 1.5. Customers are advised to retain a till slip as proof of purchase. Provide one other reason why it's important to retain a till slip. Okay, nowadays, guys, you know that when you go shopping, a lot of the stores, as you get to the exit, there are some men and women in some uniforms standing there, and they won't let you go past. They say, whoa, till slip, please. And then they look at the till slip, see how many items you've bought, and then they're supposed to count those items in the trolley and say, yeah, they're all there. And then they stamp the thing, sign it, and off you go. So that till slip's important because it's proving you've paid for the items. But what's another reason? Guys, let's say, okay, let's have a look at what we've bought. Let's say we get home, okay, let's look at the dog food. We get home and we see our little puppy. And oh, such a cute little puppy. And so we say to this little puppy, I got some food for you. And we open up the food, and to our horror, they're just worms crawling everywhere. Now we want to take this food back to the store. So we take this dog food, off we go to the store. When we get to the store, we say, we don't want this, it's full of worms. And they say, how do we know you've bought it at our shop? You can pull out the cash slip here. There's a proof I bought it here. Please give me a new one, okay? Or give my money back. All right, now let's go on. Next question. St. Matthew's School. Here we go. So we've got a statement from a school. What's the statement? It's actually saying you owe us so much money. So there's the statement. We can see that we've got an address who it's addressed to. So obviously Mr. and Mrs. Nkubisi have a kid at the school. What's the name of the school? St. Matthew's School. It tells you the statement number, the statement date. It tells you the account number, the amount due. Yo, these people owe a lot of money. 4,033 Rand and 55 cents. It tells you when you've got to pay this by the 10th of September. Otherwise, they're kicking their kid out of the school, all right? And then it tells you how they got to that amount. So they're saying on the 31st of July, you owed us 3,550. Then we got to add the new fees, monthly fees of 3,500, which gives us a new total now of 7,050. Then you went on a camp. Your kid went on a camp. It cost 380 Rand. We have a new balance. Then you made a payment. And it's always nice when they say thank you. Hey, payment dash, thank you. Okay, so you paid the money, 3,550, and obviously because you paid, the amount you owe has come down. All right, and then you bought some stationery, you went to a Spring Festival ticket, okay? And then it tells you who you got to make this out to. Sure, quite a bit of information. We haven't even got to the questions yet, which we'll do straight after the break.
So true, as they say that dreams don't work, but you should. I like what Peter said earlier on, that if you want to buy something in life, you must earn it at some point. Work out, don't depend on anybody else, but work yourself out to get what you want. See you after the break. Welcome back, Mindsetters. If you just joined us now, you're a bit late, but you can still catch up because we have all the information at facebook.com/learnextra, and you can download the notes all for free at learn.mindset.co.za. Back to you, Peter.
Right, great. Do we have any love stories or not yet?
We do have some love stories, such
Tell
as...
us one, because we're running out of time.
Okay, Adelaide is having this special person, which is Chloe, and this awesome maths literacy teacher. I'd like to say I enjoy his lessons so much. His name is Peter.
Oh dear, but that's not a love story, eh? I hope
How
not.
do you know?
Oh.
Okay.
Okay, let's move on because I'm getting worried. So, we've got the statement from St. Matthew's School. It's addressed to a Mr. and Mrs. Nkubisi, and it gives us a whole lot of figures. The questions were, oh, and by the way, I've just been told that the figures are really small. You can't really see them on your screen. I apologize for that, okay? I think we need a new producer, hey? I thought they would blow them up or something. All right, but I'll just tell you what the figures are. So, here we go. First one, who's responsible for the school account? This person here, it says 2. And who is the 2? It's 2, Mr. and Mrs. Nkubisi. Next one, what amount of money is due to the school? And folk, here it says balance, and it gives what the balance is. And that balance figure, which you can't see very clearly on your screen, is an amount of 4,033 Rand and 55 cents. Now, by when must this money be paid? It tells us here the payment due date, the 10th of September. Final question, what grade? Now, this involves a little bit of thinking. What grade is the student in? Now, when I look at all this information, folk, there's nothing here. Let me just get rid of some stuff. There's nothing in all of this information over here that tells me what grade the kid is in. In fact, it doesn't even give me the name of the kid. But when I look at all the written detail, it says quite clearly that there's a grade 1 camp that you're being charged for. It says August the 5th, 2011, there's a grade 1 camp. It costs 380 Rand. So that's how we can determine that our student is in grade 1. Okay, let's have a look at my next question. I like this question, so I really want to get through it. Consider the following cash slip when answering the questions on the next page. Okay, so here it's called Coachman's Pharmacy, and this is a real cash slip. Okay, I went off to the pharmacy, I got a cash slip. This is one of mine, scanned it and used it for this question. So, what does it tell me? It's telling me exactly where this pharmacy is. It's telling me what I've actually bought from the pharmacy. Okay, and you'll see there's no such thing as Salusa 45 for old people. Okay, we haven't got there yet. And then it tells me the final amount. It tells me how much I had to pay for that. And now let's go on to a question or two about it. What is the name of the shop indicated on the receipt? And guys, the name of the shop is Coachman's Pharmacy. My next question. After arriving home, and I love this question, after arriving home, you noticed that the one Calpol medication you bought was left on the counter at the shop. You decide to phone the shop to let them know you're sending a friend to collect the Calpol medication. Now guys, Calpol's a wonderful bit of medication if you've got a little kid. And I have a little son, and every now and then he gets a fever or something goes wrong, you shove this medication in him and it does wonderful stuff. It makes him go to sleep and so you don't have any problems. Okay, now what number do you dial in order to contact the shop? So you get home, you unpack your stuff and you go, I've left something behind. Man, I remember now, it's left on the counter. Gotta phone the shop. What number do I phone? So the number I'm gonna phone, and it tells me here, is this one. 011 463 7779. Okay, next one. You need to talk to the cashier. Who do you ask to speak to? Well, this is the great thing, because on this cash slip, it's gonna tell us the cashier's name. Where is her name? Let's have a look, see if we can find it anywhere. It's not at the bottom there. Maybe it's on top. Here it goes. It says the cashier is Ms. Zondo. So I know what number to phone, and I know I can speak to Ms. Zondo and say, how's it? It's me. Remember me? I'm the guy with the great smile. I came and bought some stuff, but I left the Calpol on your counter. Right, next question. The cashier says she saw the medication left on the counter and agrees to keep it aside for your friend to collect. Your friend does not know where the chemist is. What address do you give your friend? Okay, So you've got back home, you're absolutely exhausted, you don't want to get in the car again and drive all the way back to the chemist. So you know a friend is going past there, so you phone him and say, "Oi, pick up my medicine for me." He says, "Not a problem, where do I pick it up?" And we go to our cash slip, and our cash slip tells us that you are going to go and collect this thing, here it is, at Shop 14, Coachman's Crossing, which is on the corner of Peter Place and Corrin Street. Okay, now, I'm sure your friend has other questions. The cashier tells you that the shop closes at 8 p.m. Your friend gets to the chemist an hour and a half after you'd paid for your goods. Did your friend get to the shop before closing? Oi, now, let's have a look. When did I pay for my goods? Let's see if there's a time on this cash slip. Ah, here it is. Time. It says 18:39 and 1 second. Your friend gets to the chemist an hour and a half after you paid for it. So to that time, I'm going to add 1 hour and 30 minutes. Okay? Now, folk, when I add that, that's going to be 10. In fact, we're going to get quite confused here, but let's go anyway. I've landed up with 69, which is 1 hour and 9 minutes, 18, 19, 20. So I get to the chemist at 9 minutes past 8. Take note of the time, right? And this is things we looked at last week. 2000 hours means 8 o'clock at night. 20:09 means your friend gets to the chemist at 9 minutes past 8. So did your friend get to the chemist before they closed? They closed at 8 o'clock. He got there at 9 minutes past 8. Your kid is not going to get his medicine. Okay? Shop is closed. Next one. How many items did you remember to bring home? Now, I love this question because it's a good little trick. Because here it tells us how many items we actually bought. And it says you bought 9 items. Now, when I ask this kind of question in a test, so many of my students say, "Oh, it's such a stupid question. 9. You bought 9 items, you brought 9 items home." No, you didn't. You left 1 at the chemist. And so the question is, how many items were brought home? Well, if I have bought 9 items and left 1 home, guys, I brought home 8 items. Okay, are we clear on that? It's a good question, isn't it? I think we need to get on to the challenge question.
Yes.
While I find it, do you want to read a few messages out there?
I have some comments. Here's a sweet one from Leslie and Maria Johnson. She says, "I'd love to send a Valentine's dedication to my mother. She's the most amazing person in the world. And I just want to say I love her so much. And she's watching the Mindset channel with me. Such a darling. Love you." That is from Leslie and Maria Johnson. Happy Valentine's Day, Mom.
Ah, that's a fantastic message, eh? Mums are special, aren't they?
Yeah, they are.
Okay, sometimes they moan, sometimes they clap you, but all in all, they're good people. All
And
right.
they shop a lot.
And they shop a lot, absolutely. So, how's it out there? What were the names again?
It's Leslie.
Leslie. Hi, Leslie. Glad that you're tuning in. And I have the highest respect for you for talking so nicely about your mom. Well done. Okay, right. This is a challenge question. Tabo wants to improve his factory showroom and considers the following quote. Now, we spoke about this in a lot of detail at the beginning of the program. So now the question is, today's date's the 3rd of November. Is the quotation still valid? No, it's not still valid. Remember we spoke about this. They gave us the quotation, I don't know if you can see that on your screen, on the 15th of September. They say the expiry date is the 15th of October. So Tarberg's got this. He gets it on the 15th of September. 15th of October now, okay, it's expired. He decides on the 3rd of November, I forgot about this. Let me go to the shop. They are under no obligation to meet that quote because he's past the 15th of October. Next question. What is the size of Tabu's showroom? Okay, folk, let's have a look at it. So now we get all this kind of thing. He wants a pamphlet stand, desk, blinds, wall-to-wall carpeting, and we told that it's 450 Rand, because how do I know this? This title says the unit price in rands. Not too sure if you could see that on your TV screen, but it says unit price per rand, and it's 450 Rand per square meter. The total that he owes for that will be 8,325 Rand. So let's write that down. The total is going to be 300. Let's change that to a 3. Oops, no, don't do that. Let's get rid of that, sorry. Don't do what I just did, and especially in an exam, folk, because when you change your figures, and you know when you write a figure, Evie, I don't know if you've ever done that, where you write a figure, and then you go over it again, and then when you look at it, you're not too sure what it should be, and then you make careless mistakes. Rather cross it out and write it again. Okay, so we know that it's costing us 8,325 Rand, but it cost 450 Rand per square meter. So how many meters is it? Well, if the total is 8,325 Rand, each little square meter is 450 Rand. If we divide, we're going to be able to work out exactly how many square meters there are. So let's do that again. Out comes my calculator, and we say we've got 8,325. We're going to divide that now by 450 equals, and I get an answer of 18,5. So it's 18,5 squared meters. That's how big the showroom really is. Our final question for our challenge is this. How much VAT is charged on this quote? Now let's have a look at this, folk. It says quite clearly, note, all prices include VAT. Now, if the prices include VAT, this total of 17,355 Rand, okay? 17,355 Rand, that includes my 14% VAT. So now we've got to think way back to when we worked with VAT, and I'm talking about last year already, and we'll be talking about it again later on this year. But guys, when I want to calculate, when I want to add VAT, if this price excluded the VAT, and I wanted to know what is the price now with the VAT, I would multiply this figure by 114 over 100, okay? Because it's 14% VAT. 14% VAT plus the original price, which is 100% of the price, okay? And 100 plus 14 is 114 over 100. So that's how it calculated if that price excluded VAT. But we now told that price includes the VAT. So if it includes the VAT, how much is the VAT portion? All right. Now, folk, what we're going to do is this. We're going to say, okay, let's just rub this out quickly. What we're now going to do is, and I'm using a pink pen. I think it's so nice of me because it's Valentine's Day. So we're now going to say times 100, oh dear, I really made a mistake here. Let's try it again. You see, I talk about love and my mind goes funny. Okay, so let's try that again. Times 100 over 114. Now, when I do that on my calculator, I'm going to say, great, we've got 17,355 Rand multiplied by 100 over 114 equals, and I get 15,000. Will you remember this figure? Because I won't.
Yes.
15,223 and 68 cents. So 15,223, and I told you I won't remember.
68 cents.
68 cents, okay. So that is the price without the VAT. Now, folks, do you remember the beginning of the session? Right in the beginning, I said to you, always ask yourself this question. Have I answered the question? Have I answered what the examiner's asking me? And the question was, how much VAT is charged? Now, we haven't worked out that VAT. What we've done is we've said that's the price with VAT. This is the price without the VAT. So how now do we determine the price or the price of the VAT? Well, we're going to take that price which includes the VAT, subtract the price that doesn't include the VAT, and that should tell us what the VAT price really is. So again, out comes my calculator, and I'm going to put these figures in and say I've got 17,355 Rand and no cents. I'm going to subtract 15,223 Rand and 68 cents equals, and I'll land up with an answer of 2,131 Rand, 2,131 Rand, and I think it was 32 cents. Yes, it was. And 32 cents. That's how we calculate how much VAT we paid on that quotation. Okay, now we've finished our challenge question, but I see we got a little bit of time left, so I'm sure you want to read out one message while I find us another question quickly.
Yes, sure. Here's a sweet tweet that I have from Melo. Melo says, at Lenextra, showing some love to everybody this Valentine's, even to my strangers. If I had money, I would give roses to everyone and a big hug. So thank you very much to @Owami McDubey. Thank you for your tweet. And mine it is happy Valentine's Day in advance, because we know that tomorrow we're not going to see you on the live shows. Otherwise, I know that we have some mindsetters who have also some comments, such as a mindsetter from Zambia by the name of Kaylee, who says, I always enjoy mindset lessons, and that is why I always knock off early at school, even when I have extra classes, just to watch mindset. That is Kelly from Zambia.
Oh, fantastic, Kelly. It's great to know that people from Zambia are watching our program.
Yes.
Brilliant stuff. I thought it was only the South Africans. That is great, great, wonderful news. Welcome, and keep asking questions if you have any. Okay, I've got to watch my time. I'm going to ask you to interrupt me if I start going over.
For sure.
Okay, because you know I can talk all day.
I know.
Okay. Now, consider the following cash slip when answering the questions that follow. Guys, this is in the notes that is on the website. We gave a whole lot of multiple choice questions, and we're going to go through a few of them now. Now, question 1. On what date did this shopping take place? Now, let's have a look at the cash slip, and it gives us a date. It says, I don't know if you can read that, 08/05/2012. Now, guys, I put that question in there specifically because of this. That could read the 8th of May 2012, or it could be the 5th of August 2012. Now, the American system, they always tend to do it the other way. But South Africa, we always look at the date first, then the month, and then the year.
Unfortunately, our time is ran.
Our time is up.
Thank you so much, Peter, for a great lesson, and we'll see you some other time.
Next Thursday, same time, same place.
Thank you, Mindsetters. Always know that every accomplishment begins with a step and willingness to try. Keep trying, because we believe in you. That is why we're here as Mindset. All the notes are found at land.mindset.co.za. But from us, me and Peter, we just want to leave you with a peace of mind, saying tomorrow, enjoy your Valentine's Day with anybody, special somebody in your life, even the strangers, as Melo has said. Peace. We love you.
Cheers.